Welcome, everyone. My name is Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's event, Microsoft 365 Copilot Masterclass, Unleashing Productivity with AI. Presenting today's topic is Jason Kellington. Jason is a Microsoft certified trainer. He's a seasoned learning consultant and technical writer, boasting over 2 decades of experience in the realm of IT. Jason has honed his skills in the development and delivery of solutions geared towards enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of enterprise IT. His contributions extend across various channels, be it through dynamic classroom training, personalized training materials, or hands-on site consulting. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the Business Application Practice Area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session will cover the future of productivity, where artificial intelligence isn't just an assistant, it's your co-pilot in the digital workspace. This master class has been designed for both seasoned professionals as well as those who are new to the world of AI enhanced productivity, offering valuable insights to elevate your work to new heights. In addition, participants will get guidance on effectively preparing for the MS 900 certification course and exam in today's session. And now I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early, and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic. Hey, Jason, thanks so much for joining us today.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to our Microsoft 365 Copilot Masterclass. We're going to teach you a little bit today about unleashing productivity with AI, take you through a full tour of the Microsoft 365 Copilot suite. We've got a few different things to take you through. My name is Jason Kellington. I am a Microsoft certified trainer, and I'm extremely happy to be taking you through today's session. So speaking of today's session, let's take a little look at what we're going to cover. We'll begin with an introduction to Microsoft 365 Copilot and help you to very briefly understand why Microsoft 365 Copilot could be important for your organization, how it's going to help you in your everyday tasks. And after we briefly introduce it, learn a little bit about it, how it can be your everyday AI companion, then we're going to jump into understanding practically how that works in the Microsoft 365 apps and how we can use Copilot in the Microsoft 365 apps. We'll highlight some of the key use cases in the kind of the most predominantly used and most popularly used Microsoft 365 apps that have Copilot functionality. And it'll give you a really good idea of what Copilot usage looks like. Then after we finish talking about those app use cases, we'll focus in a little bit on really the core of Copilot for 365 usage in prompting. We'll take you through the art and science of prompting in Microsoft 365 and help you to understand the best practices and some of the details of how you can ask Copilot the questions you need to have answers to in a way that gets you the best response. And it's prompting is all about understanding how Copilot will respond to your prompts and what you can do with those prompts, with those questions that you ask Microsoft 365 Copilot to get your best response and your best results. After we get through the art and science of prompting, we'll take a little bit of time to talk about readiness and setup. What do you need as an organization or an individual to be ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot? We'll talk about licensing. We'll talk about setup. We'll talk about the overarching and general use cases and jump into a little bit more detail around app integration, licensing, and some of those details that are important to understand before you get going with Copilot. And then as we wrap up our conclusion, the intent would be that you're ready. You're ready to jump into using Copilot for Microsoft 365 and start making the most of that product and you start jumping into the use cases that are relevant to your job or industry or role and really take Copilot as your everyday AI companion and jump into it. So that's our agenda for our time here today. And without any further delay, we're going to jump right into it, do a little bit of an introduction into Microsoft 365 Copilot, kind of get our heads around, general use cases. What are we looking at accomplishing here with Microsoft 365 Copilot? So Copilot is, in the most general sense, an AI assistant that's going to help you with a whole bunch of different tasks: writing, designing, researching, planning, all of those things that you as in your role as a human being are typically doing manually right now. Writing, designing, researching, planning, all four of those. Copilot is here as an AI assistant to make those tasks easier for you, to allow you to take advantage of the breadth of information that's out there in the general internet, as well as your organization's enterprise data, to save you some of the time and effort of continually paging through SharePoint sites and documents and trying to find, where is this one reference image that I'm looking for? Or, what were the financial performance results for 2023 in our organization? Copilot is designed in Microsoft 365 to take that enterprise Microsoft 365 environment and put those answers and put those writing, designing, researching, and planning capabilities at your fingertips. And that's going to look like a whole bunch of different things within your Microsoft 365 apps. Generating content is a big part of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is going to provide to you as a user, whether that's content, suggestions, different insights, allowing you to simplify or maybe rework your communication and collaboration with your peers and coworkers, to provide different places where you may be creating a content brief or where you may be taking meeting minutes, to either make those minutes or that brief more concise or to add more detail to that brief or those minutes. There's lots of capabilities that come in. This is accessible through all of the different Microsoft 365 apps. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit later. Availability in an app like Word, for example. Word has a very full suite of Copilot capabilities. Those capabilities are, being slowly integrated into other Microsoft 365 apps as well. We'll highlight, kind of the most commonly used ones at this point in time. We'll also talk a little bit about the overall app integration spectrum and which Microsoft 365 apps we can expect to see Copilot functionality built into. And we'll see that with different apps like PowerPoint, where Copilot can help you jump into PowerPoint and create an effective and visually appealing presentation without the need for you to be a graphic designer, or without the need for you even to have detailed information about a particular topic. Again, the capability of generative AI that's built into Copilot gives you a little bit of a increased capability to generate that type of content. Now, whether that's again from public internet sources or whether that's from your own enterprise data within your own organization, they're big advantages in these apps. And when we talk about the idea of gathering data, right, and creating these contents and suggestions and insights, a lot of that is going to come from your enterprise data, the data and the files and the capabilities that exist within your organization's Microsoft 365 tenant. And what Copilot is ultimately built on is large language models. And Microsoft 365 Copilot uses large language models. And we've seen large language models mentioned in a whole bunch of places, and generative AI comes from that core functionality of a large language model. And LLMs, large language model, they're trained to respond to your prompts, to your questions, based on huge amounts of text data from various sources. If you look at an LLM like ChatGPT, for example, it's based on a lot of historical and internet-based information that it's going to pull in. What Copilot does is it takes that LLM capability, that ability to train itself on data, and trains itself on your organization's data. And so different things about what's happening in your organization's Microsoft 365 tenant are going to be available to you based on that large language model that underlies Copilot and provides all that functionality. And so that means that we have those internal documents, reports, manuals, policy, and Microsoft 365 Copilot can use them to enhance its understanding and generate natural language responses and content so that you ensure that you're getting the most relevant data in your responses. And then there's a whole set of capabilities on the back end that allow you to ensure that your information is being presented as it should be. Some of the other approaches to Microsoft 365 Copilot that we should be aware of from a general perspective are again just some of the use cases. So I've highlighted creating and delivering stunning and effective presentations, but also picking out the right visuals that can engage your audience, allowing you to brainstorm, create ideas, generate a set of ideas where maybe you don't have ideas, and take those ideas and make them your own and pull in external research and organize your work. Those are all capabilities. And that goes right down to some of the very fine aspects of that work that you're creating, and things like making sure that you've phrased something appropriately, and maybe making sure that you're targeting your language and the way that you're creating content towards those people who are consuming your content. So making sure that translating text or paraphrasing text or rewording text in a way that's more effective, Microsoft 365 Copilot can help you throughout all of the different Microsoft 365 apps that it integrates with, can help you with this ability to communicate more concisely. And it's also, we've talked a lot about kind of some of the generative capabilities, and they're amazing, but it's also there as your everyday AI companion, not only to provide content and information, but to provide help and support. And so a lot of the things that we do in the Microsoft 365 apps, Copilot can help us understand how to do those better, how to access a feature or a particular interface in one of the apps, how to perform a set of steps, such as something as simple as creating a slide in PowerPoint to as complicated as setting up some automation routines in your Outlook inbox. So there's lots of those suggestions and feedbacks and tips for improving content, and just generally using your Microsoft 365 apps. I think from a use case perspective, this is where we really get a good idea of what Microsoft 365 for Copilot provides to us. And so we'll look at some of these use cases in the apps. Think about contextually, for example, in Microsoft Word. How and where might I use Microsoft 365 Copilot in Microsoft Word? And so these points are really, really excellent points. To generate content, right? To write content based on a specific topic or purpose or audience. Now, this could be, a paragraph, a sentence, a headline, bullet points, captions for a graphic. What the Copilot generates for you is limited, kind of only by your prompt and what you ask it to do. So generating, we'll see in a little bit of a demonstration that I'll do later on, generating content in Word can lead to some really insightful starting points for documents, or can help you very quickly generate information that's already there in your organization. It's just in different places. So that idea of, kind of summarizing or grabbing and inserting relevant information, that's a really important part of what Copilot can do in an app like Word. Of course, summarizing, paraphrasing, and translating text, just helping you with the the grammar or the organization, the language pieces. There's some excellent capabilities in Copilot to help you do that. And then the ability to look at your work and say, how can I make this better? Or tell Copilot how you'd like to make it better in general. And Copilot will provide you with some suggestions and some options for how that works. Um, there are a bunch of prompts that we're going to work through in Word, and really, different examples that we'll see, but certainly clearly, the examples that I show you are only the tip of the iceberg, only the start of the process in working with some of these apps. We'll look at a couple of the other common apps as well. I'm not going to go through every single app and the use cases here. We'll look at the most common apps and give you an idea of what, different ways that you could make Copilot work for you in these apps. And then we'll demonstrate a couple of them to give you a little bit of a view of what that might look like. So PowerPoint is another one where Copilot has some excellent capabilities, and Copilot can save you so much time and so much effort in your slide deck and presentation design, creation, and editing capabilities. So the ability to simply create those presentations, absolutely. Creating slide decks and individual slides within a slide deck. Generate the content for the slides, and we'll see a couple of examples of that as we go. Dynamically organizing those slides, helping us to find the right visual or different ways that we can engage the audience. Picking up, charts, graphs, different visual representations into PowerPoint that can help our presentation speak more directly to our audience. And looking at, okay, for my presentation, what can I do? What can I do to make it better? What can I do to improve it? And that could be any of these points, depending on who you're presenting to, or your target audience. But the ability to, with a simple natural language question or suggestion, to carry out, for example, the creation of a 10 slide section of your PowerPoint deck is an extremely powerful capability in PowerPoint. And this is one of, along with Word and OneNote, kind of one of the practical examples that we'll take a look into actual demonstrated capability in the app. Microsoft Teams is, first of all, if you're not familiar with it, an extremely powerful collaboration tool that helps you and your team work together and collaborate on your work, whether you need to chat, call, meet, share, co-create with your colleagues, your clients, your customers, your partners. Teams is there to help you connect, organize, and manage all of those tasks. But sometimes in teams, whether it's understanding, how can I start off this conversation, and what might be a good conversation starter in a chat, or finding the right words to get your point across, staying on track, discovering new opportunities. This is where Microsoft 365 Copilot can help us in Teams. And some examples of where you might use Copilot in Teams, asking Copilot to write a message, or reply, a subject, or a greeting for you based on your input or context. So, example like write a reply to John's message. Very simple and basic prompt that will, look at the message we get from John and reply to it in some way. Probably we want to get a little more detailed with our prompts, and we'll talk about that in more detail later on with some of the art and science of prompting. But again, there may be some context, there may be, just an unsureness of how exactly to word that response to the chat that the 365 Copilot can help us with. And the same thing for summarizing, paraphrasing, translating messages or conversations, helping you to catch up on what's happened in a conversation so far, right? Summarize a long conversation from a Teams meeting, really easy. And, take a long message and say, summarize this message in one sentence. And Copilot will give you a concise summary of that message. We can also ask Copilot in Teams to insert or find and insert relevant information, data, images, links, that can help, support a message that you're sending, or, the presentation that you're doing in the middle of a Teams meeting. You're looking for that link to, the financial report for 2023 in your Teams channel as you're talking in the Teams meeting, rather than having to open up Teams and jump into your Teams channel and navigate through the different channels that are in place and find the Files tab and go in. You can ask Copilot in Teams, get me a link to the 2023 financial report, and the Copilot will provide you with that capability. So it's that ability to kind of support what you're doing, enrich, illustrate what you're doing in Teams, in a number of different ways, and even something as maybe not as contextual to the business perspective, but something like find us a stat about the growth of AI in a workplace, and give you that data point and then a credible source to back you up. So those capabilities, and I think with Teams more than any of the other apps, you are typically interacting real time with someone or with a group of people, and sometimes getting those facts, getting those links, getting those associated documents is time sensitive, and Copilot can really help us with that, to do that. Also, suggestions, and sorry, I should be circling these as I go. Also, just like in the other apps, just feedback, on how you can improve your content, adding more details, or throwing an emoji in, or using more polite or concise or persuasive language. We can take a message, just like any other chunk of text in any other app with Copilot, and say, how can I make this message more friendly? Maybe you're someone who is a very concise and to the point writer, and you find that most people, kind of respond like, oh, your message got the point across, but it would, really kind of shoved it down my throat. Teams and Copilot in general can help us with a Teams message, and especially because Teams is real time, and we don't often have the ability to really think through and ponder the content of that message, as we're typing it. Teams can help us on the fly, in the moment, adjust that tone, or adjust how that message is written to achieve a specific goal or to speak to a specific, target audience. So there's lots of really great capabilities in Teams that Copilot can. Lots of really great Copilot capabilities in Teams that can really help us to improve our team's interaction. Microsoft OneNote is one of the more recent, integrations with Microsoft 365 for Copilot. And OneNote is, if you have a OneNote notebook open, anywhere, and you're using OneNote in a very kind of specific and, universal way, I should say, in your organization, you will know that you end up with a lot of stuff in that OneNote notebook. And OneNote has a really great search function that allows you to, quickly jump in and find instances of, a certain word or a certain chunk of text in your notes. But what about the idea of, hey, I've got 5 pages of meeting minutes here. I'd really like to know what are the takeaways? What are the action items out of these meeting minutes? That's where Microsoft 365 for Copilot can really help you to take those OneNote notes and pages that you have in place and capture the relevant data, give you the ability to, generate summaries for a long chunk of text, create a to-do list based on, for example, meeting minutes that took place, analyze, current ideas or generate ideas for you, provide you with some brainstorming cues to get you thinking about new ideas for a project or a plan, rewriting your notes for more clarity. So just like again, in Word, in PowerPoint, in Teams, the ability for Copilot to help you to improve your language capabilities, improve your communication and collaboration capabilities, extends here to OneNote as well. And jump into brand new content, creating brand new content, and setting up the structure for the outline for an event plan or for a presentation. OneNote is very often the kind of the landing point for inspiration, for new ideas, for brainstorming. And Microsoft 365 Copilot within OneNote can really help us to capture those ideas, to build on those ideas, and provide some inspiration to ignite those ideas and take them to the next level. And the idea that, hey, especially when you're thinking about ideation and creating ideas, sometimes a dialogue is the best way to approach it, and just asking questions and getting answers to those questions. And we can do that in OneNote. And again, in OneNote, there's just so much value of having that dialogue, right? That partner beside you, that everyday AI companion. You can say, hey, well, like, what can I do to improve this paragraph? Or what new ideas could I add to this list? Or how could I achieve this particular task more efficiently? Microsoft 365 Copilot is there to answer those questions. So let's take a look. Let's take a look practically at these practical use cases. Let's jump into a couple of these apps and see Copilot in action. So we'll start with Microsoft Word. And in Word, what we will do is start with a brand new blank document. And if you haven't been in a Microsoft 365 app with Copilot integrated, this is one of your first looks at that. Here it is. This is Microsoft 365 Word, the desktop app in Windows running. You'll notice immediately right next to my little blinking cursor, I've got something new. This is if you don't have Copilot for Word, you wouldn't have seen this before, but it's the Copilot prompt that's there when you are, again, just that blanking cursor. Those of you that are responsible for creating, if you're a content creator, if you write, RFPs or proposals or novels or anything else, and you're responsible for creating some language-based content, that blinking cursor on a blank page can sometimes be your worst enemy. And how do I start this? And if you're a novel writer, then fine. There's so many ideas you could put in, but this could apply to something very business specific. And maybe I've been asked to put it together a paper for my organization talking about global economic trends for our industry. That's one place that we could start. That's a pretty big topic. There's a lot of research available on that topic out there, that if I don't have this little Copilot icon in Word, my first step is, okay, let's go research. Let's go find out what the data points are, and what those trends are. And if I'm not boots on the ground and really embroiled in that industry or in that particular business case, I may not know where to start. That's where Copilot can come in and be extremely helpful. So we may do something as very general as create a presentation. Sorry, we don't want a presentation. This isn't PowerPoint. Create a report on the global economic trends in 2023. And I'm going to correct my spelling first of all. And I'm going to give you the first of our prompt tips. So this simple sentence that I've put into Word: create a report on the global economic trends in 2023. Very simple sentence. Um, Less than 10 words. This will create content for me. This will use the large language model capabilities of Copilot. Go out, use the broader text that Copilot has been trained on, generally from public sources and internet available sources, and provide me with something. So if I click generate right here, it will start. It'll start generating, creating a draft for me. You'll see it start generating text. And one of the cool things about text generation in Copilot is we watch it work, and as it works, we can see what it's generating. So it starts the report, gives it a title, provides an economic or an executive summary, I should say, and an early summary of what's in place, an introduction, some of the contributing factors. There's some statistics in here, but I might get through this and say, oh, hold on. You know what? This is too general. That's too general. So I might say, okay, at this point, I read through what's generated. I think it needs to be different. I can just stop at generating. I don't have to wait for it to finish. I can stop the generation right now, go in and say, let's change that prompt. And this task right here in changing your prompt, modifying your prompt, kind of sharpening and fine tuning that prompt, that is going to be your greatest opportunity for training and growth and building expertise with Copilot from Microsoft 365, the art and science of writing prompts. So in my case, I am specifically interested. I didn't write this in my first prompt, but I know that I'm actually specifically interested in the manufacturing industry. So create a report on the global economic trends. We'll maybe say for the manufacturing industry in 2023. Okay, so we can regenerate this text using the new prompt, and using that. Okay, yeah, I want to refine it a little bit. Let's think about this a little bit more. And I can regenerate. And so it'll take this highlighted blue text, which refers to the generated text and shows us that it's generated text, and it's currently it's currently in limbo a little bit as we're refining it. And so now we see this is going to be targeted to the manufacturing industry, and the numbers that are using some of the GDP values, they are going to be geared towards the manufacturing industry, and you'll see topics that are manufacturing specific brought out in the paper. And so we could build. I'll let it generate all the way, and one of the things, you know what, I'm actually not going to let this generate all of the way, because I noticed one thing here. Look at this headline: Global Outlook for the Manufacturing Industry in 2023. the global manufacturing industry is expected. Okay, so we're talking future tense for 2023, and it's according to my calendar, we're well into 2024. So there's another thing where I notice, okay, let's be a little bit more specific here. And there are places from a prompt creation perspective where we may make assumptions about how Copilot will respond, and those assumptions will end up being incorrect. So my assumption here was that Copilot would respond contextually, understanding that 2023 is past tense. It did not. So I fixed that. And it's really simple. Use past tense, control the prompt. And there are other ways that we can look at, controlling that prompt and making it more specific as well. I might say, I'm looking at this. The manufacturing industry is one of the most important sectors of the global economy, accounting for well, this sounds like a textbook. So let's say use an engaging tone. And generate again. And again, I haven't yet let it generate the complete document because I've had the opportunity to identify places where I can improve my prompt as we go. And that iterative prompt improvement process is part of the learning curve of Copilot, but also part of the interaction with that Copilot model and getting the most out of it and understanding how you can make the content that is being generated more suited to your specific use case. So now we see past tense. The global manufacturing output grew by 4.5%. Fantastic. So we have those pieces in place and we can see as it generates the content for us. We've looked at output and growth. We've looked at technology and innovation. Sustainability and society is coming in next. So we're going to get all of those pieces in place. Trade and integration. Again, the amount of time that it would take me to start this from a global economics perspective, there are probably some pieces that I could look at and get reference to gather these statistics, but to allow Copilot to do it for us is an obvious and clear time saver. And I've reached the end of the generated text. You can see now in my Copilot prompt that it has this little keep it checkbox, which says, do you like this, right? Is this the text you want? If so, if it's what I want, yes, absolutely. If I want to refine that text, I can continue prompting Copilot much in the same way that I did by just stopping it generating and starting from scratch again. I knew that it needed to change, so there wasn't any point in me letting it finish. Here, I haven't seen anything in kind of the immediate generation that's caught my eye that I don't like. So I might say, you know what, let's give this a read through and then potentially fine tune. In my case, I'm not going to worry too much about fine tuning it. I'm going to keep this text and put it in place. And now I have my document. I have my, my global economic trends for the manufacturing industry report in place. So I might, save this into my OneDrive and put it in place. Let's call it 2023 global. Actually, let's call it manufacturing. So we'll save it in there into OneDrive. This could also be saved into a SharePoint site, right? And one of the biggest things with capturing the power of Microsoft 365 Copilot across your Microsoft 365 apps is keeping your data, keeping your files within your Microsoft 365 tenant. So in this case, either in OneDrive for Business or either in SharePoint, either of those places is going to allow this file to be part of the source for for my Microsoft 365 Copilot generation now. And I might have different sections that I decide that I want to rewrite in this case. So maybe I don't like the wording on this specifically. You'll notice that if when I select that selection, I have the ability to rewrite with Copilot, and it's a quick prompt in the margin that it provides for me. And I'll do it. I'll do the quick rewrite. It'll draft the rewrite for me, show me what that draft is going to look like, and say, okay, here's the draft. Here's what you had. Good, bad. We can either replace it all out. We can insert it below. We can regenerate it again. Part of the benefit of using a large language model is it's not just consuming and regurgitating text. It's using human-like capabilities to decide how it's going to generate that text. So if we click regenerate, that's telling it, I don't like exactly how this is worded. I don't know how I necessarily want you to change it, but give me another take. Give me another look at this. So we can regenerate it. Again, we haven't provided with any extra input. We just know that we want to have another look. So here's something else. We might decide, okay, maybe this version we like better. And so we can, kind of pop through the different versions that we've generated, decide which one we want to replace. And either choose a replacement, maybe want to insert it below, so we can compare the two texts and copy and paste out of different sections, and maybe there's different pieces we like. All of those are possible. I'm going to delete this text that I put in just to take a slightly different approach and show you another feature here. I'll choose that rewrite with Copilot again. It'll draft the rewrite. And I might have more specific feedback for that rewrite and say, okay, this rewrite, I can change this. I'd like to change this a little more. And so we have the tone adjustment option here, allows us to, maybe we want it to be a little more imaginative, a little more engaging and fun, for lack of a better word. So we'll see different, more imaginative verbs, a variety of language. And it may be, that some of these adjectives or adverbs or verbs are beyond what we were hoping for, and maybe a little too creative, a little too imaginative. But it gives us, this control gives us the ability to, we'll go to casual instead of an imaginative, gives us the ability to refine that chunk of text using Copilot. And again, this is like so many of the Copilot features, it's your built-in brainstorming buddy, right? It's that AI companion that can say, what about this? How about this? It's that partner beside you that allows you, that you can bounce ideas off of, and that will provide you with ideas to help you, further your content generation. So that might be it. You know what? This is great. This actually, you know what? For me, this isn't good. More stuff in 2023. That's a little too informal. So let's maybe go back to professional, regenerate, and we'll go with that. I like that. That's good. So we'll replace that text, and we have that chunk of text in place. Away we go. And that may be it. That may be all we do with Copilot, is to generate the document as is. And it's, we've got a 5-page document here with some really good content in it. Typically, you're going to refine this. You're going to reword and rewrite the places that you don't particularly love. One of the really important best practices with generative AI in general, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is no different, is never trust it 100% without reading it first. This is a addition to your capability. This is a companion, not a replacement. This is a starting point, not a finished piece. So with generative AI, with large language models, and Copilot is no different, there is the potential for the generative model to make mistakes and to present something as a fact that might not be a fact. So we want to be able to fact check. We want to be able to review this information and read it and go through it to ensure that it is accurate. So it provides the research, it provides the starting point, provides the ideas. Best practices is that it's not a start and a finish, right? It's a starting point. You would finish this with your own expertise in the economic trends of the manufacturing industry, with your own, supplemented research, and maybe some of these numbers you might want to supplement with different information. That's all possible. And we can, for example, in the put in growth section here, it talks about Asia being the highest growing rate. There's a few points here. We might say, you know what? Let's just add a point in here, Canada. So let's say add a point discussing the impact. I should just double check my section here. Output and growth, yeah. Impact of AI and automation on manufacturing facilities. So again, so this is within the document, right? I'm creating a section of text within the document, and Copilot recognizes that, okay, this section that I'm generating is within the context of, a subheading. Whoops. Sorry, I clicked my mouse there. Is in the subheading talking about output and growth. It recognizes that it's within a bullet point list, even though I accidentally bumped the mouse and I kind of defeated my bullet point list, and provides that, that extra piece of information. And so including a little bit about AI, automation, and innovation, where that wasn't necessarily part of the focus of that piece. So, creating from scratch, creating a complete document from scratch, sure, we can do that. But also within a document, providing new perspectives, new information, new references is also a huge benefit here. I have this in Microsoft 365 on my OneDrive for Business, so it's auto-saving as we go, which is fantastic. So I now have that document in place. We also have the Copilot on the sidebar, which I haven't demonstrated yet, but let me show you this to provide you with a little bit of context for how we can use Copilot in the context of the document itself, or in the context of our organizational data. So you'll see the different, kind of, it's giving you head starts on prompts here. So it might be, write about something, change something, summarize this doc. That's a complete prompt where it just gives me the text and pushes it in. But there's the capability within a document, and this is a 5-page document, so it's not terribly long, but a summary of the document might be a useful thing. Maybe we've opened up this document that was sent to us by a colleague, and we want to provide a summary of the document before sending it on to the next person in, kind of our email chain. So here's a summary of the document that it's going to generate based on kind of the primary points. And you'll notice the little reference links into the sections of the document that we can click and go to and see where these summary points come from. And then take that summary point, copy it, paste it into either our email or a summary document, or maybe into our OneNote. And again, I'm not going to get I think I'll just copy that text for now, and we'll paste it into OneNote a little bit later. But again, the interactivity between applications and the different use cases between applications is another big piece of how Copilot streamlines your capabilities across all of these Microsoft 365 app use cases. Okay, so this document is here. I've created it. I'm going to end my journey with this document. I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave it up because we're probably going to come back and talk about this and talk into it a little bit more. But for now, I've created that 2023 Manufacturing Global Economic Report, and I'm happy with it. Now, what if in our little situation here, let's flip to another app that we're interested in using to create some content for this global economic report in the manufacturing industry. Let's take a look at PowerPoint and how PowerPoint can do some of the very same things, that we can use some of those very same capabilities and functionalities in PowerPoint to generate a very different type of content and to help us to improve and refine our idea. Um, and I have the designer tab open in PowerPoint already. I'm going to close that just to give you kind of the typical PowerPoint view. And of course, in PowerPoint, we've got a very basic slide template here that we can work with. That's fine. One of the really cool pieces, this is not a Copilot piece, but this is something if you are starting a presentation, Designer is an amazing place to start, especially if you don't have a specific aesthetic or design principle or color scheme or theme in mind. You're just starting from scratch. Designer can help recommend different design ideas for a presentation that you might be building. So again, there are a number of different design ideas that it provides, and I might select this one and say, okay, this is an interesting one. Yeah, maybe not exactly what I'm looking for, from my perspective. And ultimately, it really doesn't matter what design idea I choose here, but we select through, and I'll pick one that I like, and we'll continue on from there. So maybe we'll use this one with the pencil. I like the text. I like the color scheme. It looks good. So I pick that design, and then I decide, okay, I need to create a presentation. I'm going to present to my team about these global economic conditions in 2023 for the manufacturing industry. Where do I start? And maybe I've already drafted that Word document and thought, okay, well that's cool. There's some ideas. I mean, I could certainly start from scratch, and I could just go into my Copilot pane, and I could start typing at the prompt right here, create a presentation on the global I can't type, the global economic, what was my word prompt? Let's flip back there and just double check. Oh, I can't double check because I didn't put that into, my bad. Let's go back here. We'll just create. In 23 for the manufacturing industry. So same domain, right? Same business vertical that we're looking at. Same idea for the content. I want a PowerPoint presentation now. So I could generate this, and this will generate some slides for me. and it's going to build out using this designer design that I've chosen. Same thing would go if you've got a corporate theme and a corporate slide deck. It would use the same, use that template to build out the slide deck. And so here it is. You'll notice obviously it's brought in some contextualized images. So my title slide has this wonderful image of manufacturing, or probably, if I guessed here, oil and gas refinery image that I can see. So okay, that's interesting, and I can flip through. So here's what it's generated for me, and the imagery is going to be generally contextual to the slides. You'll notice, some of the talk on this opportunities and strategies are around technology and IoT. So we've got some technology related images here, and a conclusion slide at the end. And so we have a pre-built presentation. It's 4 slides. So I may decide, okay, this is okay, but maybe it's not quite what I want. Maybe I decide, hey, it sure would be nice to have more information here. So I might say, add 5 slides on influential trends specific to, maybe I want to specify to North America. Okay, so we're going to break this down a little bit. Include a North America section here. And I can do that. And, again, it's looking in the context of this presentation. You see this using this presentation piece, pulls that information in and will create those slides for me. And you'll see that, it's North America trends and things like renewable energy, plant-based diets, all of those different pieces that would reflect and affect that would be representative, I should say, in the North American trends. And I might say, okay, this maybe isn't my favorite image for this. So I might say something as simple and basic as use a different, whoops, not with caps lock though. Use a different image for this slide. I'm not sure what different image I want at this point. I just know I don't like this one. And it gives me jelly beans, and I might say, I could say use a different image here a whole bunch of times and get a lot of not great responses. So use an image that portrays North American manufacturing in a, this might be too specific. I will tell you right now that, can't type, that I haven't tested this prompt. So this is in a mathematical context, okay? So I want, like a North American feel, but thinking about like numbers. That's my prompt that I'm giving it. I don't know how this is going to work out. This may completely fail. This may be too specific. Let's see what happens. Oh, well, that's interesting. So what I should have said is replace that image. So I'm, at this point, what I do with the Copilot and what I do with actual PowerPoint, I might just decide, hey, it's a lot easier if I just take this image. Oops. If I take this image and use it, I like the image. I like the way it works. It probably, maybe couldn't quite get that mathematical specificity for me, but that's okay. It gets me what I want on this slide, and I'll use it as is, and away we go. So I have those capabilities as well. And you can see how we can quickly build out a slide presentation for that. Now, if I think about this slide presentation and something like, the plant-based meat market reaching 3.6 billion by 2026, is that data point in my Word presentation? I can tell you that I don't believe it is. It's not in there. And I could do a quick search in here and just double check. Um, and I see that, no, I don't have any occurrences of plant in here. So that's not in my document. So maybe I shouldn't necessarily, or I shouldn't have that particular point in my slide. And it brings up a very interesting point. Generative IA or generative AI by nature is going to generate based on what you provided. If I provide a very general prompt, like I did in PowerPoint, to say, provide a presentation on manufacturing global economic impact, the numbers that I return are going to be fairly general as well, or the numbers that I get returned. So what about if I have something already? What about if I have this document in place and I decide that this is actually a great source for a PowerPoint presentation? So rather than generating from scratch using, a very general prompt, um, let's try this a little bit differently. Let's start a new file, a new presentation here. We'll go back in again, use Designer to pick a theme and something we like, and maybe it's going to be something a little more okay, how about this? Maybe I'm presenting my presentation to my son's grade school class. So I want to provide something a little more, kid oriented. I'm just having fun here. So I have this theme, and now in Copilot, rather than giving it a generalized prompt, I'm going to point Copilot at something. And you'll notice this create a presentation from file. If I click this, it's going to have the create a presentation from and then file, and it uses this little forward-leaning slash. And a forward-leaning slash in Copilot, and I'm just going to erase everything and start from scratch because it's a little simpler. Create a presentation using, and once I hit that slash, it's going to go into the document history of essentially my Microsoft 365 account, SharePoint and OneDrive for Business, and point out different documents. And I can search for, a whole bunch of, I can search for file names in here and find whatever file I'm looking for. It just so happens that the most recently accessed file was that 2023 Manufacturing Global Economics Trends. So I'll just choose it. Create a presentation using that particular file. Let's see what we get. And of course, here, when we think of numbers, when we think of statistics, when we think of organization and headings and subheadings, I already have that document there. That document has that information for me. And I'll flip back to the Word document here just as it's generating. You can see as it's generating, it's giving you an outline. The executive summary, intro, output and growth, technology and innovation, sustainability and society, trade and integration. If we flip to the Word document, we'll notice that those are in fact, and we'll just break open the navigation pane here because it will show us that specifically. There it is. Right, so here are the headings in our document: output and growth, technology and innovation, sustainability and society. They're all there. It recognizes those headings, recognizes the structure of the document, so that when we go back to PowerPoint and take a look at our presentation, we have a presentation in place, and this is pretty jump right up at you. Maybe I'm not sure what happened with my design theme there. Honestly, did I click something? I'm not sure, but we can jump back into Designer and decide to do something different with these slides or with the presentation as a whole. I'll leave it as is for now. And we have those slides. So here's our agenda, right? Again, using those subheadings in the document, gives us an executive summary of what's there using the executive summary, and then simply just jumps through our presentation, providing an introduction, providing output and growth. You'll see it's created a table for us here based on some of the stats that are in place, using relevant imaging as we go, innovation in artificial intelligence. We have an image there that's relevant, robotics, again, and we can see this is more designer and less Copilot, but just the ability to change those slides if we want to. And we can say, okay, for let's go up a couple slides here to our you know what, that's okay. I'm just looking at the text here thinking like, is there something where I could improve something? And maybe for technology, for cloud computing, I decide that this particular chunk of text is, not exactly, not exactly what I want. So I might say, okay, for this slide, let's go ahead and rewrite the text for this slide using a more engaging tone. And as it's doing this, I want to point out that we have the text on the slide, but then we also have the speaker notes in here, and speaker notes coming from the content itself. Now, that question here, my prompt in just rewrite the text for the slide using a more engaging tone, that's changed it into something that I don't like, right? That's kind of just taken the this text and then popped it onto the slide. I might say, okay, that's good. Like, I like the engaging piece, but I might say break the slide text down, and we're getting a little finite here into more bullet points. And I could, you do have this kind of law of diminishing returns with using Copilot, where a task may be not something that Copilot can accomplish, like this. And it says, hey, listen, I can't do that right now, what you're asking me to do, but here's how you can do it. So, and I can even have Copilot direct me to like, where is, this specific part of the interface, right? And so it brings it up for me. And I could, decide here that I'm going to break these bullets out on my own. I'm capable of doing that, and put those in place. Maybe I may say, make this slide more concise. And here's another good example of proper prompts. I said, make this slide more concise. It looks at the whole slide. What it really needed is make this slide text more concise. So again, the power of prompting and understanding those prompts. Of course, in an Office application, whoops, I went way where I didn't want to go. In an Office application, we have the ability to undo those changes, right? And I can decide like, yeah, I don't like any of these, so let's just go back to the way it was. We have recourse to undo those changes or go back to the way it was before. But you can see all of those different ways in which we can get input and capability to what our presentation looks like and how it feels, based on just interaction with the Copilot interface. and providing it with information. So here we have a 17 slide deck that provides us with, again, the same data, the same information, the same language and wording as we had in our Word document, but here in presentation format with associated speaker notes as well. And it says, here's the basic speaker notes as well as the original content from the Word document. So the context is already there for you user, a really quick and easy way to create that presentation and put it in place based on existing data. Okay, last piece. Let's talk a little bit about OneNote and just look at an example and kind of continue our example a little bit with OneNote. And again, with OneNote, we're looking more typically at meeting minutes, creating ideas, those types of things. And you'll see the capabilities of OneNote and the capabilities of Copilot in OneNote are very similar. So I'll bring down just a very basic OneNote notebook here. And I have some financial review meeting notes that are here in place. I also have a new ideas page that I'm going to put my new ideas on. I've got a summary of my global manufacturing or global economic trends in manufacturing. So I might just relabel this and call it global economic, let's call it manufacturing, global economic trends, summary. And the text is in here, and I just pasted this as text. And so it's, again, a note that's there and that I can use. Within OneNote, there are a few different ways that we can use Copilot. We can use Copilot to generate ideas, right? So if I'm in my new ideas page here and I'm thinking of different ways where I might want to interact or interact with Copilot, I might say, give me 10 ideas for oh man, completely blanking on the word here, for initiating growth in the manufacturing industry. And let's make sure that we're talking about economic growth. And we'll fire it in there and it will provide 10 ideas for us. And we can populate those ideas into our OneNote notebook. Toss them in, and there we go. And there's the start of our ideas, right? Again, with Copilot, not the end, but the starting point, and a good starting point, and a starting point with context and substance to it, so we can start really creating and doing some ideation with a little bit of, again, avoiding that white blinking cursor on a white screen. There are other things in OneNote where we can capture Copilot functionality to really give us some neat benefits. Here's a financial review meeting notes. Right, so we've got the agenda, we've got the action items, the attendees. We might decide, okay, in this, can we just, and I can click right here. I've got the basic tasks of what I can do. I could just either click summarize here or type summarize this page. And, it's saying, okay, I could just summarize, or I could specify tone or length or reference. So maybe summarize this page in 3 sentences, right? So I can get that specific, and it'll create that summary for me, right? That 3-sentence summary. And so then I can just say, okay, well, cool. In the top of this, in the top of these meeting notes, I'll have this very brief summary in place where I can include that information and make sure that that information is there for someone that's coming in to read these meeting notes. And there you go. Simple as that. So, the idea of summarizing, the idea of taking something like this, a meeting notes where probably there are obvious action items, and generating kind of the tasks slash action items from this list. So draft a to-do list based on this page. We could do that as well. I'll just leave it general because it's going to look at the context of this page and then do that. So here are at least 3, probably going to generate a couple more here. So 4 different action items that we can take. And again, linked to, specific sections of the text, right? So we can see, oh, okay, there's where that action item came. And in our case, the action items are listed as action items, but it did generate 4, right? It did generate 4 different action items. So they are coming from different places, and it realizes that, there's potentially two action items from this one action item. So it's pretty good at finding context and making sure that it's getting the appropriate information. Pros and cons as well. Another feature there where we could look at something more lengthy, and build those pros and cons out. And again, it's ideation, it's idea creation, it's simplification of manual tasks that save us time and effort. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good idea of what Copilot use looks like within the context of those Microsoft 365 apps. Let's take a quick 10-minute break here, and we will come back after the break and come into and talk about the art and science of prompting on Microsoft 365 Copilot. Enjoy your break, and we'll be right back.
Sure, we are now going to take a 5-minute break, but before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope your break was great. We're going to start our second half of the masterclass talking about the art and science of prompting on Microsoft 365 Copilot. And this really is both an art and a science, as you've seen in some of my examples in Word and in OneNote and in PowerPoint. It's a work in progress. It's not something that we will all, the prompt isn't something that we will always get right the first time. And something that sometimes we get unexpected results, and sometimes we need to clarify. So this section jumps in to some detailed examination of how do we effectively create prompts in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we'll have some examples in here of specific prompts, but ultimately we're talking about prompting in general across the different Microsoft 365 apps. It might be in rewording some text in Word. It might be in how you replace an image in PowerPoint. It might be in how you generate slides in PowerPoint, or how you might create something new, a new idea in OneNote. These practices, these best practices, and these approaches apply across all of the apps. Whenever you're typing text into a prompt and getting that information, we're here. We're here to really look at that and examine what we're doing. So we'll take a look at the art and science of prompting, and we'll get a really good look into some of the important areas, I should say, where we need to focus to get the most out of a Copilot. The first best practice with prompting is be clear. Make sure that your prompt is saying what you need. Now, and what you need may be something general, but more often than not, you can provide extra clarity by providing details or context about what you're looking for. And the examples here, and all of the best practices are supplemented by examples that I'll present on the slide. Is, a lot of the unclear examples here, and you'll see, here, write something about M365C for writers. A lot of what's unclear in these examples is assumed context or assumed ideas, and the idea that something that the Copilot knows, is that a sentence? Is that a paragraph? Is that a one word? Is it a 65-page white paper? What are we looking for here, right? So there's a lack of clarity. Another place where you'll find Copilot getting or not being able to understand context is when you use abbreviations or sometimes colloquial terms. M365C, that's not a super common abbreviation for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So, is Copilot going to recognize what it's actually writing about? In this case, probably not. So clarity is so important. And so here we say, okay, what's the something? It's a paragraph. What are we writing about? Not just about Microsoft 365 for writers, but why? Why does Microsoft 365 Copilot provide usefulness? Why is it useful for writers? And so again, being concise and clear with what you want out of the prompt, right? What do you expect at the end of the prompt? You expect a paragraph. You expect 3 sentences. You're summarizing this article. It's a much better alternative to the unclear examples. And so anytime, where that lack of clarity exists in a prompt, we can think about, how do I make this more clear? And typically it's in these adjectives and adverbs and descriptors. Some data, well, that's about as general as it gets. You could say find data about AI, and that would be more general, but I don't know, some data may be even more general than saying find data. So let's, we want a statistic about growth. in the workplace, right? That's the specific data that we want of the growth of AI in the workplace. Improvements, and we didn't spend a huge amount of time looking at rewriting and improving. We did some, and some of our rewriting was actually quite generic and really was, kind of when we select that chunk of text and say rewrite for me, that is kind of a generic, like, can you improve this? But if we have a specific direction or goal in our improvements, we want to make it more engaging, or we want to, make it sound more professional, or we want to make it sound like, it's coming from an industry expert. All of those, more descriptive terms of how we want to improve will get us to the content that we're looking for. And the more you hone your prompt creating capabilities, the more likely you are to get the results you want earlier on in the process without having to, throw in 10 different prompts and refining it as you go. Not to say that, working through this master class with me and coming out the end, you're going to get every prompt right every time. I'm not going to sell that to you either. But the more we can look at these best practices and adhere to him, the less time we're going to spend putting in prompts, and the more time we're going to spend taking that prompt result and working with it and getting to our final goal. Second best practice is be relevant. And again, this is about context. And this is about, just like we saw with our global economic situation, we wanted to know about global economic trends for the manufacturing industry. That was, a way to get more specific. And same thing, irrelevant, again, it's looking at too specific, or providing context that doesn't need to be there, right? The economic trends for manufacturing, that was good. If we asked about the global economic trends for manufacturing amongst elementary schools, that's not going to be as relative, right? And it's not going to give us the data and the return, or the content and the return that we hope for. So make sure. And I'm not saying that astronauts can't use Microsoft 365 Copilot. I don't think that that's, an absolute statement. But if we're targeting writers, then we should probably talk about writers, right? And make sure our prompts are being built with writers in mind. Understanding the limitations of capabilities. If we have a full article, are 3 words enough? Probably not. So this prompt is going to be irrelevant. We're going to need more room to build out that idea. So maybe 3 sentences would be better. Find a statistic about growth of AI in the rainforest. This is going to be doubly confusing. Number one, AI in the rainforest, like what's the relationship there? But also number two, growth in rainforest is going to get you all kinds of crazy returns that you're not looking for. So making sure that, again, the context is relevant, that we're not placing additional context in that doesn't move us toward what we're trying to get out of that prompt. And again, the second one, this is just the last one, is kind of a really silly example. How can I make the sentence more purple? Well, use the word purple, or write it with a crayon if you want. But other than that, there's not much you can do. But of course, asking for something like, how can I make this sentence more engaging, much more concise, much more clear, gives us that a really good chance for a good return from Copilot. There are a number, and sorry, let me go back here. Actually, I missed a specificity here. Be specific. So this is the kind of the last of the overall best practices. And this slide is actually meant to be before relevant, but we're going to put it after relevant. It's kind of the, we don't want irrelevant data in our prompt, but we do want specific enough information so that we can get the results we're looking for, right? So looking at benefits of Copilot for educators. That's more specific than just create a presentation about Copilot. You noticed in the PowerPoint, if I said add a slide, it would, but that slide wouldn't be very useful to me, right? Add a slide with the context of what we want on that slide, much more useful. Same thing, insert a chart. You're going to get a blank chart. If you want a chart that has useful information and that makes it so you don't have to build that chart yourself, provide some context. And same thing with improvements, with asking for refinements, that specificity, that detail around exactly what you're looking for is a really good start. And even how can I make this slide more appealing? Maybe even that's not specific enough, right? Maybe we get rid of this question mark and we say to C-suite executives. So maybe we provide even more specificity here. Well, we're targeting C-suite executives in our presentation. They're probably going to want to see a different level of context and a different set of information than if we were providing the presentation to manufacturing engineers in our factories. So it's understanding what you need, and then using the context to go out and get what you need from the prompt. So those are our best practices. We also have kind of 3 primary ingredients that will influence the return from your prompt. The first ingredient is tone. And tone is the attitude or the emotion that your content is expressing or conveying. And tone is, and you'll find with all of these ingredients, are fairly simple to control with keywords. And so we can use tone keywords in our prompts to affect how Copilot generates or finds its content. And we're going to use different tones to achieve different effects, to reach different audiences, to provide different perspectives on the information that we're presenting. And tone can radically change the validity, or the relevance of content, based on the context in which you're presenting it. So if you're looking for something formal, if you use a formal tone in your prompt, it will provide you with a formal return. If you're looking for something humorous, right, we're providing a more informal and kind of humorous capability. Now, we can also immediately reference these keywords in our prompt. So I could say, please write a formal paragraph about why 365 Copilot, or write a humorous paragraph, right? We can use those keywords, those tone keywords in the prompt. And I would suggest, and I know I haven't built it out here because it's nice to get kind of a contextual idea of what those tones sound like. But I would suggest that using the tone keywords will provide you with more accurate and easy to achieve results than trying to massage it with tone. So just something to think about. Same thing with style, and understanding how that specific text is written or spoken, what the point or what the intention of the text is. So from a style perspective, here we're thinking about the what is the text doing? Is it describing? Is it trying to persuade someone? Is it providing information? Is it telling a story? And again, using those specific style keywords in your prompts will get you very specific results. Um, However, using language in your prompts that elicits a descriptive response will also get you the same results. So, right, we're describing how Copilot works and what it can do. Right, it's descriptive. Here, we want a paragraph that convinces the reader. In this third example, we're explaining the benefits, and in the fourth example, telling a story. So we could just as easily say, write a narrative paragraph or write a informative paragraph or write a persuasive paragraph, right? You see how we can insert that style keyword in our prompt to influence what's happening there as well. So there's lots of different options for that give us some flexibility and capability to work into or to work that style into the return that you're looking for from your prompt. Okay, and that takes us to, so that's the end of our best practices section, and takes us into our kind of our second, or I shouldn't say our second, our main, our last main section, where we'll talk a little bit about Microsoft 365 Copilot readiness and setup. The idea here is, how do we get Copilot in place? What do we need to have to do that? What's the context around all of the different apps that are supported? How do I understand the Copilot environment itself a little bit more? And this is the idea that, okay, we're ready to kind of jump off and jump in. You've seen how Copilot works. You've had some experience seeing some practical implementation. Now your organization, you're ready, and you want to think about doing this and jumping in. Let's look at a few things. Licensing requirements. This is one of the most important pieces for putting Copilot into your Microsoft 365 environment. For licensing, you need to have an existing Microsoft 365 subscription. Copilot for Microsoft 365 is an add-on plan, per user license. Pricing is going to vary within regions, but it's a per user license that you purchase on top of your existing Microsoft 365 subscription. Copilot is available as an add-on for the following subscription licenses. So 365 E3 and E5, Office 365 E3 and E5, and both the Business Standard and Business Premium versions of Microsoft 365. There's not a whole lot more to add to that. It's fairly straightforward. Again, it's an add-on license, so it's if you go through the process of setting up Copilot and getting those licenses in place, it's going to make sure that the account that you're using to purchase the Copilot licenses is associated with one of these subscriptions. App integration. So we've seen some practical use cases of some of the Microsoft 365 apps, but we haven't seen them all. We kind of looked at some highlight apps. App availability and capabilities. So we've seen Word, we've seen PowerPoint, we've seen OneNote, we've talked about Teams, but there's some other ones in there as well. And let me just provide a little bit of context around these. So Word, we've seen Word. It transforms your writing with efficiency and creativity. You can create, summarize, comprehend, refine, all of those enhanced capabilities that allow you to build in. And there's different things like visualizing text as a table and adding into existing prompts, drafting a document by referencing other documents, some of those capabilities that we've seen. In PowerPoint, again, we've seen most of the main functionalities, the ability to create written documents into decks and use the document for speaker notes and sources, take lengthy presentations and compress them, and create visually appealing PowerPoint presentations with the Copilot interface. OneNote allows us to, kind of plan and organize, just like we saw, being better prepared and proactively taking action from notes and getting deeper insights into your notes by asking comprehensive questions and generating summaries. Teams, as we discussed as well, allows you to recap conversations, organize key discussion points, summarize key actions, create meeting agendas based on chat history, identify opportunities for follow-ups, all of those different collaborative tasks that come in with Teams. In Outlook, Copilot in Outlook, which we didn't look at specifically, but provides you with a really great way to keep on top of your inbox, create and refine your communication across your emails, summarize an email thread, jump to the source of that thread, in the context of the summary, look at suggested action items, create automated replies, and schedule follow-up meetings. Lots of really cool capabilities in Outlook. Microsoft Whiteboard is one that's really neat to use. Really simple behavior in Whiteboard, and the ability to kind of kickstart and accelerate ideation and categorization and summarization. And you know what? Here, let's just do this really quick, just for the sake of demo, because I like to demo and because I know that I have Whiteboard right here. Let's look at this really quick, because this is one that kind of falls under the, goes under the radar sometimes. Whiteboard isn't necessarily one of those apps that immediately stands out in the Microsoft 365 suite, but it's a great app. So if I create a new whiteboard here in Whiteboard, one of the things that I can do with the Copilot capability is suggest, right? And so this is, I can suggest, so let's suggest, we'll go with, let's go 10. Let's go 10 ideas for economic growth in manufacturing. I know this is, this is kind of probably going to be close to the same list, or the same general idea of the list that I generated in OneNote, but it's going to generate it in a little different way in Whiteboard, and you'll see that it's generating, it's giving me 6 instead of 10. That's okay. I'll just insert these 6. It's given me 6 sticky notes, and these, sticky notes I could organize. Here's the ideas, and maybe I'm brainstorming with my team, and we're recording notes in these different sticky notes, and we have some really good ideas. And we might say, okay, let's with these ideas, let's select them all, and do we have categories? And so this is again a Copilot function here where we can categorize these, and Copilot will go in and take a look at the notes, the text that's in the notes, and categorize them and say, okay, automation, research, globalization, efficiency. So now we have those organized notes, and we can decide, yeah, that organization is great. We may also want to say, this whiteboard is great. Let's include reference to this whiteboard in some meeting notes and just a brief description of what we're talking about. So I could also just summarize that note content. Creates a little section for me in Whiteboard that's going to summarize it. I can leave this here in the Whiteboard if I want, and maybe have it as the header for the section. And you'll see it's creating it in loop, which means that it's reusable across other Office or other Microsoft 360 apps or Microsoft 365 apps. So there's a lot of capabilities here. And then I can copy this component, paste it into my OneNote as a summary, use it, and then reference the whiteboard here. And again, provides me with all of the context and information that I need to understand what that whiteboard is doing, as well as a link to the whiteboard itself. So really cool capability built in there. I thought I'd show you that really quickly because it's a simple one to demonstrate. The other ones, again, in Microsoft Loop, which we saw just a little bit of, Microsoft Loop and that capability to, kind of take those little pieces of collaborative capability, lists, tasks, summaries, co-creating them, generating that information and sharing. Copilot allows you to really, start with your or use that kind of ideation process to jump into things, and to really examine what's happening within your shared loop components. And then Excel is the last one I've put on the list, just because this is technically in preview right now, but coming very quickly. Or at least it's not general availability right now, but again, coming very quickly, and the ability to analyze and explore your data. And when you think of it from a a mathematical perspective, a data analysis perspective, analyzing, visualizing, filtering, highlighting, sorting, Copilot in Excel gives us all of those capabilities, and some really neat features and functionality that provide us with a really cool feature set in Excel. And so we understand there are so many ways that we can use Copilot across these Microsoft 365 apps. And I'll leave you with, in the conclusion slide here, just a few tips, a few things that you can think about moving forward with Copilot in getting the most out of it. So, again, along these points, take advantage of Copilot's insights and suggestions. See it as a chance to improve, a chance to make what you have even better, a chance to be even more robust with some of those things. And more specific than that, think about Copilot capabilities as that partner, your personal kind of writing and designing assistant, and that partner that you bounce ideas off of, or that you ask to get ideas from. Copilot's there when you need that brainstorming or researching or organizational assistance, and it really allows you to focus on where you're an expert, right? Focus on the places where you can provide the greatest value to your document and content creation process. Don't be afraid to experiment. Experiment all over the place. You can't break it. Copilot's not, you can't do anything that's going to, cause Copilot to reboot or anything like that. Try it in different ways. Try it in crazy ways. Experiment and see how you can make the most of those Copilot features. And the more you use it and experiment it, the more you're going to understand what works best for you. And part of that is understanding Copilot's features and the full potential. We've given you certainly a head start into that with this masterclass, but really digging in to understand, how do you control tone, or how do you control style? What specific words or phrases and prompts often get you the best results? Knowing functionally how Copilot works is going to help you get the most efficient and effective results from your prompts when you're working in the Copilot apps. And when you are working in those apps, take advantage of that integration, right? Being able to build a PowerPoint slide from an existing Word document, that's a huge benefit. That's a huge time saver. And that integration exists across those apps, right? Whether it's taking a whiteboard summary and pasting it into your notes or your OneNote notes, whether it's summarizing meeting notes and including it as part of a document on what happened on your team this week, whether that's grabbing information from a Word document and referencing in a Teams conversation. An integration flows between these apps, and it makes your Microsoft 365 environment feel more conducive, or feel more connected, feel more flowing between those apps, rather than those apps being individual silos of data and information for you. And enjoy, have fun with this. It's an amazing, thrilling technology that's in place, that is now embedded across the Microsoft 365 app experience. And I hope and you're encouraged by the functionality that you've seen here, and I trust that you're ready to take that that next step and jump into Microsoft 365 Copilot for use in your organization. Thank you so much. What's your next step? Let's talk a little bit about certification. Continuing your learning. You know, we've had a 2-hour masterclass. We've kind of brushed the surface. How can you jump deeper? And you know, with Copilot, for sure, with Microsoft AI, absolutely, but across the Microsoft stack, across Microsoft 365 and all of the different places where you might now realize, oh, we could use Copilot for this, and what about if we integrate it with this? Microsoft provides an amazing environment for learning and certification that you can jump into and start reaping the benefits of certification in Microsoft products and in your knowledge of Microsoft products. And there are a bunch of benefits here. Number one, Microsoft courses and certifications provide industry standard recognition. So you're going to stand out. Certified employees simply get greater recognition of skills because you've proved it out. You've taken that training, you've written the exam to achieve the certification. And that plays out in a whole bunch of different ways, right? Earning more day to day. 23% of Microsoft certified technologists earn up to 20% more. And the capabilities to advance and take advantage of that, you know, that both that recognition and that greater capability within your position. It's benefits across the board. Microsoft open badges and you know the visual recognition of that certification. There's some really cool capabilities across your socials to advertise your certification status. And it's easy to kind of represent yourself and your current certification status in a verified way from Microsoft and across you know the different avenues, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or email or just general web pages. Those badges and the verification provided by them again help you to stand out, help you to gain that recognition for your skill sets that simply just isn't otherwise there in a provable manner. Um, and I think, you know, maybe you're coming from an organization where certification is part of your culture, maybe you're not. That idea of certification is ultimately just an extension of growth mindset and the idea of being lifelong learners. And in today's current technology, and of course you've seen it with Copilot in this class, things are always changing. You know, expertise comes and goes, and the process of learning and of certification and of understanding that when an organization maintains that culture of certification, that growth mindset and continuous learning, it makes for a stronger and a better organization. And again, you know, the download link for that certification pamphlet and some of the wins or the win-wins of certification is available in the event handout for you to take a look and understand, you know, what the true value of that growth mindset and training can provide to your organization. One of the best ways to get trained and to have those capabilities stick in a way that benefits you and your organization and your career is instructor-led training. Getting face-to-face, whether that's physically face-to-face or whether that's virtually face-to-face with an instructor, and gaining the benefits of, you know, someone who has real world experience, someone who can answer contextual questions, someone who can take you through use cases within your, you know, your industry vertical or within the context of your organization. Role-based instructor-led training is it's the best way. It just really is. And when you look at role-based instructor-led training from Netcom. There are so many benefits and highlights, and it's on the slide here, so I won't read them ad nauseum, but 100-day access to labs and 90-day access to recordings of the classes, full access to a portal. It gives you all kinds of after class benefits and functionality that extends the value of your training beyond that 3 days or 4 days that you spend in the classroom with your instructor, in addition to that 24/7 priority support that you will receive from the Netcom folks. And of course, once you went through that training, certification, that's a big part of it, of really kind of claiming your knowledge in that area. Microsoft is very diligent about keeping their certifications current. Part of that is renewals, and the renewal process is actually a simplified. So you write your exam for a certification. The exam are industry standard intensive exams that are going to test your knowledge, and then you get the certification. Most certifications do not last forever. You have to continue to stay up on the tech and to prove out that certification. But the renewal process, and I can say this having written so many Microsoft exams and renewed those certifications so many times, is it's a simplified, shorter process to renew that certification, to show that continuous learning mindset, to maintain that certification across years and potentially decades for some of the certifications that I have, and renew that on kind of a yearly or a bi-yearly process. So it's a great process, a great program. Microsoft certification program is industry best. It's so good, and I would encourage you to get in touch with your Netcom folks, with your Netcom representative, or with Netcom in general if you don't have a representative, for some really great end-to-end guidance and support on your Microsoft training and certification requirements. And the bottom line is, let's get trained and certified. So I want to thank you so much for your participation here this afternoon. I'm going to offer just some space for questions in case those questions might have come up during the session. Any outstanding questions out there before we wrap up?
Thank you, Jason. That was most informative.
I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I would like to give the presentation rights over to Sagnik, our vendor manager, to introduce you to our promotions and webinar-related courses.
Thanks, Tracy. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for this insightful session. Jason did a wonderful job of taking us through the various features and capabilities of Copilot. We truly are in the new era of AI. And with that, I am also excited to announce that all the participants in today's masterclass have been given exclusive free access to MS 900, that is Microsoft 365 Fundamentals official Microsoft courseware. And the best part is you also get to claim your digital badges, the achievement badges on Microsoft Learn to celebrate your fundamental skilling journey. Issued by Microsoft, these badges can help you highlight your newly acquired skills and boost your career potential. So without further ado, let's quickly take a look at the steps that you need to follow in order to unlock this unique benefit. So as you can currently see on my screen, the link to this landing page is also being shared on your GoToWebinar chat. So please refer to that, or you can also find this link in your event handout. So once you click on this link, you would be seeing this page that is currently visible on my screen. And over here, you can see, as promised, we have mapped your access to MS 900 courseware as well as digital achievement trophies and badges over here. In order to redeem this benefit, what you need to do is just follow 3 simple steps. And you can get started by clicking here, which is redeem your MS 900 badge. You can just simply click here. If you're already familiar with the MS Learn ecosystem and you already have a profile. In case you don't and you want to get some more guidance on it, we have also got you covered here. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see 3 steps that are represented here. So the step 1 is for you to sign into your Microsoft Learn account using your personal or professional Outlook or Hotmail account. Now, in case you already have an account and you're already signed in, no worries. You can simply click on Get Started and it would be directly logging you into your account and you'd be directly proceeding with step 2. In case you're not already signed in, you would be seeing this prompt asking you to sign into your account. So you have to use either your Microsoft personal or professional Outlook or Hotmail credentials here. In case you don't have an existing Microsoft account, no worries. It's very easy to create and it only takes about 2 minutes. So you can see the prompt over here that has been highlighted, no account, create one. All you need to do is just click on this link, create one, and you would be redirected to a page. You can quickly set up your account, use that to log into your Microsoft Learn profile. And then once you are in, all you need to do is just switch back to this tab and once again click on Get Started. Once you are signed in to your Microsoft Learn profile and you have clicked here, you would be prompted with this dialog on your screen, which is going to ask you to redeem your code. Now, you might be wondering, what is the code? How do I get that? You don't have to worry because you'd see a code will automatically be populated into this prompt and it won't be editable. So you don't even have to edit or make any changes. All you need to do is just click on the redeem button that has been highlighted here. So once you're signed in Microsoft Learn, step 2, you click on the redeem button and that's it. Step 3 is you'd be seeing this prompt. It's going to take a few seconds to process and then you'd be notified that we have successfully added your achievements to your profile. And the button over here would be to view profile. You can just simply click on that. And on the left hand side panel, you can switch over to the training tab to get access to all the MS 900 official courseware modules waiting for you to go over. And be proud to share your achievements because you'd also be issued digitally verified badges from Microsoft to celebrate your skilling journey. So simply go ahead and feel free to share these on your professional networks like LinkedIn. And don't forget to tag Netcom Learning and Microsoft on your posts for maximum visibility and reach. So that's it. You can simply go ahead and redeem your MS 900 badges and courseware following this process. We highly recommend everyone to get this benefit activated right away. And in case you find any difficulties, feel free to reach out to our team, and we are going to make sure we guide you through all the steps and complete your journey there. With that, we are going to take a look at the handout that we have prepared for you. So as you can see on my screen, this is the event handout that you all have received. Once again, we thank you all for taking out the time and joining our masterclass today. As part of this handout, you'd see the content section wherein the different sections within the document have been listed here, and everything is hyperlinked. So you can quickly use these links to jump to the specific section of the document. Before we proceed, it's worth mentioning that Netcom Learning, we are the proud winners of the Microsoft Partner of the Year award for 2 years in a row. So as we say, the legacy continues. In 2022, we were the Partner of the Year worldwide, and in 2023, we were the Partner of the Year for United States. And we are also a Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. That means that we have capabilities across all the 6 solution areas recognized by Microsoft. A few more things about us. We are in the training industry for over 25 years now, having serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies, serviced 100 plus US military bases. Overall, we have trained 1 million plus professionals across 36,000 plus unique enterprises, and we enjoy a 96% recommendation rate from our customers. All our trainings on Microsoft are delivered by instructors that are certified and authorized by Microsoft. And our overall instructor pool stands at about 3,200 plus certified professionals. We are your one-stop solution for all your corporate upskilling needs with official training across every major technology and business solution provider. So as we can see over here, we are an authorized training partner for all the industry leaders across Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, EC Council, and others. Now, within this handout, you would also find this particular page wherein you can find the session recording. You can use the link to access the recording for today's session and revisit the concepts that were covered in today's masterclass. On this page, you'd find the link to access your complimentary courseware and the digital badges. The same landing page that we covered at the beginning of my presentation. You can find the direct access link here, and the link to which is also available on your chat on GoToWebinar. Also, all the participants will be given access to Netcom 365. It is our student portal that includes a lot of features and resources for you to take advantage of to supercharge your skilling journey. All you need to do if you're accessing it and activating it for the first time is set up your password and then you'd be good to go. We highly recommend everyone to explore our learning portal to take full advantage of all your skilling resources. Now let's quickly take a look at some of the latest offers on Microsoft trainings and certifications. First off, we have the Microsoft Quick Start program, which is applicable across the entire portfolio, encompassing Azure, Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. It is truly the best in class exclusive enterprise discount offering on your end-to-end Microsoft training across the official portfolio. The pricing model is quite simple and straightforward. If you have a team, if whether you are a large organization or a small organization, and you have a team to train across departments or within the same department, we have two options for you depending on your team size. If you are looking to train more than 15 learners, you would be getting a flat discounted pricing of $300 per day per learner. And of course, as the number of days for the particular training increases, the amount also increases, but you get significant savings on this. If you are having a smaller team, that is 14 learners or less, then you still are entitled to a $400 discounted flat pricing per day per learner. This really accounts to huge savings when it comes to large scale training. So we highly recommend everyone to get in touch with us, explore the offering by clicking on the link provided in this handout. And all your trainings can also be customized based on the specific projects and workloads that you and your team, your organization is working on. And our industry specific subject matter expertise encompasses a wide range of verticals, as you can see over here, from banking and financial services, healthcare, federal and state and local government, to education, energy, manufacturing, retail, consumer goods, and more. Next up, we have the Microsoft value of certification. We highly recommend, along with Microsoft, that whenever you're investing in your skilling journey, be it in terms of your time and effort or your training funds, it's always recommended to secure your skills by getting the validation and approval from Microsoft. So what it does is certification from a decision maker perspective. You want to ensure that the ROI on the training is guaranteed. So this is like a quality control on the training investments that you make for your team. So once your team completes the skilling, they can take the associated certification exam to make sure that they are eligible and they qualify under the standards that have been set by Microsoft on the related technologies. And if you are a learner and a professional, it is a great career booster for you, right? The credential of being Microsoft certified is industry recognized, and these are industry aligned to specific job roles, and these demonstrate the real world skills required to solve real world business challenges. So these badges add a lot of value to the credibility of your profile. It enhances your job prospects and career growth. For a limited time, we have a 10% exclusive discount on all Microsoft certification exam vouchers going on right now. We highly recommend if you are considering taking training or getting certified, this is the right time for you to do so. The link has been provided on this particular page of your handout. We highly recommend you to avail the same. Also, you'd find that if you have a team, if you are a big organization or a small organization, having a team that you're looking to train, our 2-hour private group training demo is also a great option for you as the next step. It is free of cost, as we say, you can see over here, and it is customizable as per your needs. So rather than a public delivery, which was the format of today's session, you're going to get a private group training wherein our instructor is going to connect with you, understand your specific requirements, and our learning consultants are going to map out your specific needs and accordingly tailor the skilling plan that makes sense for you and your business. So these training demos are provide a great value because these are customizable. All the trainings are delivered by our top rated trainers, and you get a complimentary skilling plan consultation, allowing you to get clarity on which specific courses are needed to be taken by your team. And in case you are a large organization, you are a multi-shore firm with multiple divisions and your workforce spread across geographies, or you have multiple business units within the same organization, the skilling needs kind of get complicated in those scenarios, right? But how do you manage your training funds in that case? That's why we have the Learning Passport, which provides a flexible team training package. Basically, you park all your training funds with us for 12 months. And within these 12 months, you get exceptional value on the funds that you invest, right? Up to 100% increase of your fund value is what you can experience with our Learning Passport. And these funds are flexible. That means you can use it to train irrespective of the individual that you want to opt in for. A simple distinction with the Netcom Plus is that it is mapped to the specific learner and it is only valid for that learner. But in Learning Passport, you get that additional flexibility that for one particular course, you can pick one particular learner, and for another, you can use your same training dollars for another course. This is basically giving you unlimited access to our entire authorized training portfolio of 4,000 plus official courses. So we highly recommend you to check this out if you have such skilling requirements, especially keeping in mind that the end of the year is coming, and we are aware that organizations need to finalize their training budgets. If they don't use it, they kind of lose it. So this is an ideal solution for you guys to park your training funds and make sure you get the ultimate value all year round. Now we will take a look at the recommended courses that we have. Over here, you can see the courses that are related to today's topic have been mapped here, divided by fundamentals and role-based. So we highly recommend everyone to click on these links. All of these are hyperlinked. Pick the item that you want to explore and you'd be redirected to the official documentation that we have on these particular courses. Also, please note that all the courses that are delivered by Netcom Learning are delivered by subject matter experts. You get additional perks like 180 days access to virtual labs wherever applicable. Also, you get access to 90 days to the class recordings to revisit the concepts. You get full access to our Netcom 365 portal, as well as you can repeat the classes free of cost within a specified duration if you want to revisit or you couldn't attend the first time. We also have a couple of free resources mapped here, like our upcoming free event and a blog. We highly recommend you to explore those as well. With that, I'd like to thank everyone. Do follow us on our social handles, and we hope to see you soon once again on one of our events and classes. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Trace.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that information, Sagnik. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session.
Our first question of the day is from Ross, and he wants to know, how does Copilot for Microsoft 365 protect my enterprise data?
Yes, excellent question. Very good question. The permissions model within the broader Microsoft 365 tenant. So, how your data is classified within Microsoft 365, that provides ultimate control and governance over your data. So that ensures that that data won't unintentionally leak between users or groups or tenants. And Copilot only presents the data that you can access as an individual, that you have permissions to access as part of the group, and that's also flagged as Copilot available data. So there's a data flag and a data tagging mechanism that happens on the back end of Microsoft 365 that would classify and label that data appropriately so that only the data that should be represented to Copilot is represented to Copilot. Really great question.
Our second question is, do I have to have more than 300 licensed Microsoft 365 users to buy Copilot?
So before January 16th, the answer was yes, but the answer now, after January 16th, 2024, is no. So this was part of the initial release of Copilot, is that Microsoft required you to have 300 users. They have since changed that, and January 16th, 2024, as of January 16th, Copilot licenses can be added to any of the supported Microsoft 365 subscriptions that we listed on that slide, regardless of the number of users. In fact, the tenant that I used to demonstrate today is a one-user tenant.
And finally, our last question is, are there plans for integrating Copilot into other Microsoft 365 apps?
Yes, excellent question. So there are, yes, there are. And some of the notable ones that are coming in the next little while that are currently in either preview or pre-release are SharePoint, OneDrive, Microsoft Planner, the Viva suite, including Engage, Goals, and Insights, Microsoft Stream as well. Do you know what? Let me show you this really quickly. I'll show you a website that you can go to get all of that information. It's the Microsoft 365 feature roadmap site, and it looks at all of the existing features that are on the way. And I'll bring it down onto the screen here so you can take a look. So again, it's Microsoft.com/Microsoft 365/roadmap. This is the URL right there with some extra stuff on it. If we want to know about Copilot, we can look at products. The easiest way, though, is just to type Copilot into the search and take a look. And so you'll see features in place here with 1 square is in development, with 2 squares is rolling out, with 3 squares is launch. So we'll see, at the top of the list will be the ones that are in development. So you can see, Copilot in Viva Engage, Viva Insights. Here's SharePilot. Here's Copilot in SharePoint. You can see the preview available, the rollout start, get more details about the feature here. So highly recommend that for checking into different upcoming Copilot capabilities, as well as capabilities across the Microsoft 365 stack.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.